Hi folks, welcome to your Gersnet immediate post-match reaction pod, coming to you in association with Forest Precision Engineering. My name's Alec Anderson and I'm talking to you shortly after Rangers' 1-0 victory at Tynecastle in tonight's SPFL Premiership match, the one that was shown live on Sky Sports. Hearts 0, Rangers 1 in Gorgie, a win that keeps Rangers within 8 points of Celtic. They also won tonight in the league, but we've got a game in hand and we're going to play them at the end of the month, so we've got to back ourselves and hope that we're turning this into a title race. A win that means we've still gained 2 points on Celtic and Philip Clement's short time at Rangers, 2 points gained on them overall. A win that means Philip Clement is unbeaten in his 11 games in charge of Rangers. A win that means Rangers have won 5 times in a row at Tynecastle now, only conceding once, and that was against the school kids the week before we beat them in the Scottish Cup final. And we went to Seville, the heat of Seville, penalties, extra time in between. We're beating the League Cup this year. Philip Clement has now beaten Hearts at 3 different venues. Did I mention that one? This season alone, it means Philip Clement's played against, in the 11 games he's been in charge, it's been 5 games against teams in maroon. It'll soon be 3 games against green and white teams, Hibs, Aris, and then Betis. And then he said, we've got Dundee and Ibrox. After having Dundee at Dens Park and he's at Aberdeen at Pittodrie, he's going to have Aberdeen in the Scottish Cup final. He'll have known that Scotland's a small league, but he'll be thinking, my God, there's only like 3 different colours to the teams that we're playing against these days. They sound like I'm trying to avoid the subject, like I've done so many times before in these podcasts. It's because I don't really know how to express how I'm feeling about that game tonight. We've won 3 vital points. Beating Hearts, always a good result. Third biggest team in Scotland. If I told you we had beaten Hearts by 1-0 tonight, you hadn't watched the game, you think to yourself, I can imagine what it was like. Tynecastle, the Jambos, third biggest team in Scotland, proud club, proud support. They're tight on the pitch, they'll be making some noise. Their support's reduced to that wee kind of Tetris block-shaped, elongated pea-shaped, little kind of tiny support in the corner in the school end. At Tynecastle, they've been pounding our goal, they've been going for it big time, the Jambos. Lawrence Shankland, he's scored against us in the last 3 games he's played against Rangers. He's on fire just now, they're doing really well. Hearts to get up into 3rd place as they did at the weekend, thanks to a win over St Mirren. But no, the Jambos going strong, difficult venue, and it'll be backs to the wall. We've probably got a goal in the break and then have to defend like mad. Jack Butland's probably had to pull off a couple of really cracking, if not world-class saves. He did, 1 in each half. But it wasn't like that at all. It was just the weirdest. We dominated in terms of chances created. The amount of chances we missed, it just did my absolute nothing. You would probably be the same. It was getting really darkly fatalistic. We were missing so many chances to make it 2-0 that by the end of the game, I think I was almost willing Hearts to score just to prove how terrible our finishing had been. And that's what happens when you don't sign enough strikers. And I was hoping it would be Lawrence Shankland to equalise, because that would prove how wrong it was of Rangers not to sign Lawrence Shankland, even though I had zero interest in signing Lawrence Shankland this summer. And the next available transfer window for signing Lawrence Shankland isn't until January, so we can't really give Rangers a hard time about no signing Lawrence Shankland. But somehow it was just like, yeah, that was going to prove some sort of point. I would have been so depressed right now if Hearts had equalised. I will eventually be so happy that we won this game, but I'm struggling for a metaphor, I'm struggling for an analogy, I'm struggling for a simile to describe what it feels like to watch us completely fail to score the second goal. My feeling at the full-time whistle tonight wasn't, oh yeah, beauty, no, up off the seat, yes, that's it, 3 points sorted. I just kind of sat there going, yeah, right, is that a wee, oh, all right, that's it, as if I'd just been a near miss in the car. I avoided a car crash by the skin of my teeth, and I was a slight shock, but no harm done kind of thing. Really weird. Is it like when you go out for a meal maybe and you have a great starter and a great main course, but then, no sir, we don't have the banana split on the menu tonight, it's only tiramisu? I hate tiramisu. Is it like that? But no, that's a bit of a downer. That kind of ruins the meal. We won tonight, so it's no that. Is it like when you go to maybe a great midweek game, maybe a European game, or even you go to the cinema or go to a concert or something, and then you kind of get a few pints after it to kind of chill out before you go to your bed? No, but then that's a bit of a downer maybe, and that kind of ruins the night slightly. We won the game, so it can't be like that. Is it like when you go out for a bevy session with your mates and then you don't get chips or a kebab or something on the way up the road, there's no food in the house, so you're on the drink, that's a result, but it could have been better. Is it something like that? Answers on a postcard, let us know in the comment section. That's what all the good podcasters say. What do you think would be a good metaphor for describing how we felt tonight when Rangers couldn't get that second goal. And there's a surfeit of frustration when we're talking about the game afterwards, even though we've won at Tynecastle. Always a good result. Remember Tamura Kitsbaya? Yeah, kids, Tamura Kitsbaya, you'll remember that. Kenny Dalglish, he's a famous Scottish footballer. He was manager of Newcastle United before they had all this illegal money. And morally reprehensible money. We'll find out soon that it is illegal as well. But he played for Newcastle under Kenny Dalglish, Tamura Kitsbaya, Georgian, and he wasn't getting a game. When Dalglish wouldn't pick him, he was always having him on the subs bench. And he comes off the bench in a game for Newcastle. I don't know if he was scoring the winner or if he was just scoring a goal to, augment an already winning performance. When you imagine getting a second or third goal to win by 2 or 3 clear goals in a game, that must be absolutely mental. But his celebration, a cathartic celebration, letting the frustration out, but there was so much frustration in him that his celebration was dismantling the nearest advertising hoarding. Look it up on YouTube, kids, it's still there. He put his foot through the advertising hoarding and kept putting his foot through it. He was just booting 7 shades out this thing, and I think that's how I would have celebrated tonight. If Rangers had scored a second goal, say between the kind of 85th minute and the end of the 3 minutes of injury time, because it would have been like, oh, now you're going to score. I think I would have picked up my wee crappy Samsung telly and dashed it off the wall, carrying out a random act of violence against an inanimate object in the safety of my own home. But that's what I would have done tonight, because it was so frustrating. Oh, now you've decided to score a second goal. Now I can relax. What was the problem with scoring a second or third goal? Maybe get the second one at the end of the first half, get the third one halfway through the second half. And it's greedy. It's greedy to think like that, isn't it? Just be happy to get the win, be happy to get the result. But it was the scoreline. It could have been so much more relaxing. I'd be greedy to want it to be more relaxing. Well, first of all, there's a concern, and then it's the second goal problem. That's a problem that Rangers have had for so many games across the past few years where we can't get the second goal. Getting the first goal is not a problem. When it did become a problem for Michael Beale this season, he gets sacked. Couldn't get the first goal at Rugby Park, get beat 1-0. Couldn't get the first goal in the only Old Firm game so far this season, get beat 1-0. We eventually get a bit of back and forth with Aberdeen at Ibrox and get beat 3-1, but that was the final nail in the coffin for Michael Beale. That was his end song. But mostly it's been getting that second goal. There's been a lot of games like this over the years. And I think you think to yourself, am I being greedy because, under Walter Smith, remember, winning through 9 in a row? I mean, there's plenty of games away from home you were just nicking it by 1 goal or even draws away from home at these venues, you're clawing it. But the league has become, I think with Celtic having won, was it in 2017 they won the league unbeaten, in 2021 we win the league unbeaten. That's becoming a possibility now. Rangers and Celtic stretching away from the rest of Scottish football so far that they really have to be beating everybody else all the time. And Michael Beale did that. Did I mention this is the 5th game in a row that Rangers have won at Tynecastle? Now, that's great when you think about Hearts went down and Hearts were winning the Championship the season we were winning the Premiership under Steven Gerrard. They were winning the Championship, and the season before that, when they'd gone down by vote technically, nevertheless they went down, and we played them 3 times that season at Tynecastle. We drew 1 and lost 1 in the league at Gorgie, and they put us out the Scottish Cup there as well, and they get relegated at the end of that season. So it was like Tynecastle was a really difficult venue. But in the 2 whole seasons that they've been back in the top flight, we've won all 4 games. That's 5 now tonight at Tynecastle. They've a couple of draws against us at Ibrox, but we've also beaten the Scottish Cup final in 2022 and the Scottish League Cup semi this season. It's like we've got quite a good record against Hearts now at Tynecastle. Michael Beale, February this year, beat them 3-0 there. I mean, about 4 or 5 goals cancelled out for offside and what have you in that game as well. It was 3-0 going on 10-0 in that game. And that's the only time he went to Tynecastle. The game before that last season at Tynecastle for Rangers, we won 4-0. Adding insult to injury, Ryan Kent scored in that game. Mr. Numbers himself actually gets a goal against Hearts at Tynecastle. That was Giovanni van Bronckhorst. The 2 of them get sacked quite recently. And so for our new manager, Philip Clement, to go to Tynecastle and only win by 1 goal to 0, maybe it's a bit concerning actually. The starting games slowly problem as well. That was recurring tonight as well. Now, we got away with it tonight. We win the game, but that's what cost us at Pittodrie in our last away game in the league. That's 4 away games in the league for Philip Clement. His first one, 5-0 down of Dundee. at Dens Park after all sorts of delays to kick off, etc. Absolutely fantastic, clinical, entertaining, brilliant. We then have a 2-0 win over Livingston, which, the referee maybe subjectively ruling out a perfectly good Rangers goal in the first half. But it's a goal each half, kind of meat and two veg type of performance, absolutely standard. Livingston weren't up to much. Traditionally a difficult venue for Rangers, but Livingston, bottom of the league just now, it's a bad season for them. Then we go to Pittodrie and we're ranked for the first 20 minutes and they score, and by the time we do well to kind of take responsibility for how poorly we started the game. We really pounded them for the rest of the game, Aberdeen, and as tonight I think our greater fitness eventually showed through, but it takes so long to get going sometimes, especially on the road, that it really is costing us. I think the manager made a point of tonight talking about to Sky, I think, before the game. We know we got off to a slow start at Pittodrie. That's not going to happen tonight. We were awful for the first 10, 15 minutes. We were awful until, and this is the third kind of problem looking at Philip Clement, we were awful until one of the guys he picked to start the game, Tom Lawrence, got injured. And in fairness, a guy that none of us would have had in the starting 11 tonight, Cifuentes, come on. And I think from that moment on, maybe something else get changed. The manager had a chance to diagnose the problems, but all I could see was Cifuentes made a difference. Not spectacularly, not in a way that, he wasn't, knocking the ball off the bar or anything like that, or pinging it to the back post. He was just hitting the guy nearest him, but he gave us a balance. He gave us a base that wasn't there when Tom Lawrence was playing as the other person in that sitting two in midfield beside John Lundstram. And it was quite novel, quite innovative to put Tom Lawrence in there, a kind of needs-must thing on Sunday against St Mirren. We're at home against St Mirren. We're obviously going to have the numbers in that game. We're always going to be kind of overpowering St Mirren slightly, so it was never really any risk where we're going to need Tom Lawrence's defensive skills or anything in that game, limited as they probably are. But I think tonight at Tynecastle, I don't know, but Nico Raskin's injured, Ryan Jack's injured. They'd be first choice to pair up with Lundstram in that sitting two in the 4-2-3-1 that we play. But Lawrence starting tonight, especially when we already had, so it's no change to Sunday's starting 11 to have Lawrence back in there. It seems like we're just continuing, but it's not. It's a different scenario altogether. And especially when we also had Ridvan Yilmaz. We changed with Danilo up front instead of Dessers. Everybody in the world that supports Rangers would have wanted Danilo up front and expect him to be up front instead of Dessers tonight. So that was absolutely fine by everybody. And we also had Borna Barajic having to pull out before the game with a muscle strain apparently, and that meant Ridvan Yilmaz was in there. Did you see Rabbi Matondo's socks against, when he come on last week against Aris Limassol, big holes in the back of his socks? Well, Ridvan Yilmaz, he would need an actual ladder in his stockings if he was going to make up for that goal we lost against Lawrence Shankland when he played against Hearts at Ibrox, because he wasn't tall enough, so he needed a ladder to get up. And I can't get the metaphors, and I'm just, that's what I've got to try and make up for it. A really bad joke, but it was a bit of worry there. But Tom Lawrence goes injured. He goes down injured 17 minutes into the game, 16, 17 minutes, maybe 17 minutes by the time we got him off the actual park. And that was the best thing that happened to us tonight, because the neutral watching this game, thank God it was English games on the telly tonight as well, because any neutral watching this, I feel heart sorry for them. It was a brutal first 10, 15 minutes. We got a corner in about the 11th minute and the Hearts broke up the park straight from it. We made an absolute hash of it. Next time, Lawrence Shankland is piling through the middle of the park, just crossing the halfway line. And John Lundstram, in what for me was the beginning of what for me was a man of the match performance, when John Lundstram managed to get goal side of Lawrence Shankland and reduces him to a shot from outside the box that goes wildly over the bar. Shortly after that, Hearts had a more kind of constructive, more elegant move where they come down our left-hand side. We 1-2 that Shankland works with. I can't remember the guy they've got on their right-hand side, but we 1-2. He works with this fella and he has a shot from really close in, quite a tight angle, but Jack Butland, brilliant save to parry it. That means he's all at sea when coming in is the guy who looks like Zinchenko. He looks at Alexander Zinchenko. Maybe it's because I saw Zinchenko when he scored for the Ukraine against Sweden. I was at that game at Hampden, then I saw this guy, Cochrane it is, playing for Hearts, also kind of wing-back role at Hampden League Cup semi-final, but he showed that he hasn't actually anything like Zinchenko when faced with only James Tavernier between him and the goal. He hit the ball straight at James Tavernier. Colossus of a captain, parried the thing. He saved the day for Rangers, only a couple of yards off the line. And then Lawrence goes down. He goes down injured, and he'd started the game like a kind of genius artist who's trying to overreach himself, trying to attain the heights of greatness that he's known in the past, and the kind of rangefinder wasn't working at all. He was giving the ball away left, right and centre whenever he could actually get on it. So we bring on Cifuentes, who wasn't ready to come on, who is, after a quarter of an hour when you're a midfielder, but, it's a bad look when you not got the shin pads in and you not got the jewellery off you and the manager gets him by the neck. But it's just to give him a wee chat and a wee tactical update, let him know what is expected of him, and whatever it was, it worked a treat, because he comes on as the kind of meat and two veg tradesman, and all he's doing is giving the ball to the nearest artisan he can find in a blue jersey, and it worked absolutely perfectly. He just became the base. The nearest guy is John Lundstrom, who will start spraying it about in a way that Cifuentes can't. And then you get into Cantwell, and suddenly Cantwell, who'd been struggling to get into the game, Ross McCausland, who was in the fringes of the game, literally, they're coming into the game, they're getting involved, they're getting their groove on, and Rangers start to dominate. Maybe not possession spectacularly dominated, but in terms of clear-cut chances, it's us. And just when, or in terms of attacks, let's say at this point in time, because it was Kenny Miller talking to Ian Crocker. I thought he retired. Fair play to him, that's fine, I just thought he'd retired. He's talking to Ian Crocker and saying that Rangers hadn't had a shot on goal yet. There's almost a half hour into the game, Rangers hadn't registered a shot on goal, and I'm thinking, but we've had the ball in the back of the net. It must not count when it's offside. Todd Cantwell coming in from the left-hand side, a kind of shot come across the face of the goal. Danilo went too early, put it in the back of the net, but he went too early. An accusation we're always levelling at Dessers, always been offside. Just saying, I wanted Danilo. I wanted Danilo in the team tonight. I'm just going to say that. Fair's fair. But yeah, that was offside. But then, just as they were talking about this, we've only had one shot on goal. What a goal we did score, the only goal of the game, and well worth it as well. Our goalkeeper, Jack Butland, he's got his centre halves each side of him, each side of the 6-yard box in that classic starting formation. Hearts are getting on top of us though, but Jack Butland moves the ball to Connor Golson, who rushes it to give the ball out to our captain, James Tavernier, deep in the right back row, and he's just looking up and he needs somebody, a young Ross McCausland, who's been struggling to get into the game, but through no fault of his own, through no lack of effort. Tactical nous, bravery, piles down, gets right inside the Rangers half on the wing, takes the ball for his captain, bravely works a 1-2 with Tav. Tav getting up towards the halfway line. If it had been Victoria Park Dingwall, Tav would have kept going and just a few yards inside their half, stroked it right at the top corner. But given a bit of respect to Hearts as the third biggest club in Scotland, he just inside his own half, he just passes the ball of the century. The ball of the century, the pass of the century, along the deck, straight up the way, and the wee bit of curve at the end of it, it comes round to Abdallah Sima, who scored 2 goals against St Mirren at the weekend, just had a baby. Joint top scorer in the league at that point with Tav, but only for a few seconds more. Now, Sima has come from his starting position way out in the left, almost in the halfway line, darting right across, crossing over with Danilo. It confuses the Hearts defence, and Abdallah Sima said in a beautiful post-match interview on Sky with him and the ever philosophical, the ever cheeky, the ever radiant Leon Balogun, said it was a move they've been working on in training. Will it come off to perfection? Sima gets onto the ball in front of the Hearts defence, just takes a touch to the right and strokes it through the Xander Clark, the outrushing Xander Clark, goes through his legs. Terrible moments on it. A couple of good point-blank stops, Xander Clark tonight, but generally he was serving it up in a plate to us. Literally early in the second half, he drops the ball at Danilo's feet, and we couldn't get that second goal after this. But we started to dominate the game after that, getting the goal. Fantastic moment for Abdallah Sima, who is now our top scorer in the league. Still got to catch Tav in all competitions, but he's now our top scorer in the league, courtesy of the man he's overtaken for that top scorer spot, James Tavernier, our captain. I posted this kind of quiet against St Mirren, really quiet against Aris last week, but on it again tonight. Eventually, like everybody else after that bad first 10 to 15 minutes, we have a chance. Todd Cantwell, it was a corner we had, and it didn't really work out, but before Connor Golson and Leon Balogun had even thought about going back to their own half, they remained in the box. Todd Cantwell floats across in. Leon Balogun, brilliant winner of an aerial duel. He nods it down right onto the feet of Danilo, who was literally stood on the 6-yard line. He's square on the goals, 6-yard line. He takes a touch. He just got injured a minute or so before that. He was lying on the deck for a little bit, a dead leg or whatever like that. I don't know if that's made the difference, but he takes a touch. That gives Zander Clark a chance to save it basically from point blank range. Bad miss, especially when at half time we found out, because Celtic had kicked off earlier, really 8 o'clock kick off because it's a TV game, that Celtic were 4-0 up on Hibs. So you're thinking, if we don't get that second goal, this could be, having gained 2 points in Celtic almost as soon as they come in the door, and then failed to gain another 2 points on them when they gave us that second opportunity they drew with Motherwell. We drew at Pittodrie the next day. Was Philip Clement now going to finally lose ground to Celtic in only the 11th game in charge of Rangers if we didn't get this second goal? But no, and we didn't get the second goal either. We come into the second half. I think Hearts had made a substitution, perhaps changed the formation, but straight away we're doing the same thing again. Of the thing that was going to become the theme of certainly the second half. Zander Clark picks up the ball. Danilo's in there. Our masked Brazilian, who didn't have the mask on, maybe the mask is the thing, maybe that's what was making the problem. Maybe he's going to have to wear a mask as he walks about Glasgow tomorrow. An absolute beamer, should be ashamed of himself. No, he shouldn't. It was just, he just had one of those games. Zander Clark dropped the ball. Actually dropped the ball as he was coming out the goal. Dropped it behind himself, and it rolled it into his own 6-yard box. So Danilo is stood there with the goalkeeper not goal side of him. Fair enough, there was a few Hearts defenders stood between him and the goal line, but again, he takes a touch, maybe it's just whacked it upwards from 5 yards. He just hit it high and it's going to go in there. But he took the touch and it gets cleared, and it looks really bad. He's missed for 6 yards now, he's missed for 5 yards. It wasn't a good game for Danilo, but he wasn't alone in those stakes. Van Yilmaz is a crazy, crazy player. He had a crazy, crazy game. Lots of energy. He certainly puts his heart and soul into it. And he's got this little thing. Him and Lundstrom can both do this thing where they can spin around their own axis really quickly and leave an opponent who has had the ball. They've come in and nipped in front of them, put themselves goal side of that opponent, and then they're turned back round and they're facing the opposition goal while that guy stood there like a lamppost going to the Rang funeral or something like that. But he was giving the ball away left, right and centre. He was getting pushed off the ball left, right and centre. He was putting in a power of work, winning the ball, but then giving it away. And then he had these two moments. He's piling into the Hearts box. He's got Danilo at the back post. I think he's got Sima sitting in the penalty spot. And he decides to have this neither a shot or neither a cross. It just goes straight, I think, for a by kick or something like that. Absolutely awful. And then this is what was happening all night. It wasn't like Hearts were defending valiantly at the end of the box while we pounded them and not letting us create chances. It wasn't like we were pinging them in from 30 yards. John Lundstrom has a shot that Zander Clark parries. Lundstrom's shooting for the edge of the box. Zander Clark parries it and it lands right at the feet of Yilmaz. And you can see where the ball's supposed to go. You can see where he's going to put it in. And you think he has put it in until it goes past the post. And you think he's missed that, and he went off the park thereafter. Shortly after that, I think it was that miss as much as anything else, because he brought on Kemar Roofe for the last 20 minutes, and it's the worst Kemar Roofe's ever been in any of his substitute appearances for Rangers, because you usually get something out of him. And you feel like him and Lawrence, that all the patience we've had with a player who's proven to be really skillful but keeps breaking down in injury has gone on Kemar Roofe. And I think Tom Lawrence, who went off after 17 minutes, and Kemar Roofe had a bad 20 minutes at the end of the game. I think the two of them might pay the price in January, especially with the manager talking about the fitness issue yesterday at the AGM, how he's going to kind of sort that out. You've got to look at the players, their fitness history, blah, blah, blah. And we're getting this fella in from Brighton who sounds like part of a kind of Dickensian Christmas story. Tommy Taylor, tiny trim Tommy Taylor, trained 10, 20, 30 Teds to tot 10's tremendousness. I don't know, but hopefully he's going to come in and sort out all of our fitness problems. Tommy Taylor from Brighton. But one of those fitness problems is Tom Lawrence. Another one is Kemar Roofe. We might never see them again. I don't think. But they brought on Kemar Roofe to try and solve this problem we're having with scoring goals, and even he got involved in a really strange incident where I don't know if it was him that was offside or if it was Seaman that was offside after Kemar Roofe squared the ball to him, because Kemar Roofe has zero pace and his legs haven't been out for so long. But it was a whole lot of nonsense there. It looked as if it was easier to score. We had Tav floating a free kick into the Hearts box in the second half, which Connor Golson got right on the end of brilliantly. He had a good game. Leon Balogun was fantastic. Balogun and Cantwell maybe joint second behind John Lundstrom, I think, for man of the match tonight. But Connor gets right on the end of it. I didn't know it'd come off the back of a Hearts player for another corner, but thinking I can see that it's going straight into the top corner. Again, it didn't go into the top corner, it carried on past the net and into the stand kind of thing. it was one of those nights. It gets to the point where Connor Golson is just lumping the ball. The creation of chances was so easy. That's what made it so frustrating. Connor Golson just lumps a ball off the edge of his own box, right up the park, straight onto the chest of Abdallah Sima, who's in behind again. It's clean through on goal and puts it past the post. This is our top scorer in the league now, a guy who's on form, who's scored in this game and 2 in his last game. Even he's caught the disease of missing these chances. So there'll be other misses that I've missed out because everybody in blue is missing tonight. But we got there in the end. I mean, Hearts started pushing it. We required a cracking save from Butland again. Maybe about 80 minutes. They're opening up more, trying to get this goal, trying to get this equaliser that's going to transform all our lives. But it didn't happen. But we're getting more chances to break on them, and we're not getting the goal either. So definitely a concern there. And of course, you've got Shankland on the park, who only had one chance on goal tonight. We kept him really quiet. Defensively, we became really sound in the game, but we went from having 0 attacks on goal, never looking like we're going to actually get the ball into the Hearts box, to get into their box so often that our inability to score became the main talking point of the night. But the main talking point should be that we've got 3 points. So that's our manager. 4th away game in the league. And I say they've been quite varied. I like to see it as being a kind of realism with Philippe Clement. As I say, our last 2 managers, much better results at Tynecastle just last season. But I think Philippe Clement is sorting things out, taking things on a game-by-game basis. I've actually got to the point where, and this might sound like I'm saying this to convince myself that Clement is definitely the man, it's his CV and his general demeanour which convinces you most of all. And it's also a knowledge of how bad a squad he's got to work with just now, the players he's been lumped with. But I think the great starts under Gio and under Michael Beale. I mean, Michael Beale had a tremendous record. I keep saying this. He didn't beat Celtic, and that was the main thing. But he beat just about everybody else all the time, home and away, winning like by 3 goals at Tynecastle, 3 goals at Easter Road, St Mirren, Livingston, places like that. Just was great against everybody, winning by 2 goals at Tannadice, stuff like that. Fantastic starts they had generally, and then it just fell off a cliff. So I'm hoping Clement is it's him imposing his style and a kind of mindset that we don't have the players to back up just now, and that's why we're maybe a bit slower in our general start under Clement than we were under the previous 2 managers. But it means more for the long term. There's not a lot in it in terms of their starts either, but it's not been, since we come back from the international break, it's not been all guns blazing. It's not been all good. The St Mirren performance, maybe at home and only winning 2-0 against St Mirren, maybe equates with going to Tynecastle and having so much of the ball and failing to convert their chances and starting the game slowly. So we're not exactly buzzing just now, but if he's saving it for the one thing that Michael Beale couldn't do, for example, if we were going to turn up big style at Parkhead and in this League Cup final, then I don't mind if we're sneaking through in a game like tonight. Anything else to say? No, I'm going to go and have a lie down and slap myself about and wake up in the morning knowing that Rangers have got another 3 points in the bag. We will have, I think it's Craig and Rob and Gary are on the Friday night preview pod. They'll have a much better look back at this game than I've managed, and they'll be looking ahead to Dundee's arrival at Ibrox, when hopefully we get 3 points in the bag and a lot more goals, so I don't have to struggle for metaphors again. Thanks, folks.